Hey there, girlfriend. Ingafay here. Super excited to be with you today. I have another coaching girlfriend that I would love to share with you, Cindy Nicholson. She is from the Down Under in Australia, and she is a certified coach. And what we're going to talk to you about today is how to break through to reach your full potential. I'm so excited to share Cindy, and we'll learn more about her in a minute, but we will see you inside. Hey, Cindy.
Hi there. How are you? It's so good to see you today, Inga.
Yes.
Thanks so much for having me here.
Yes, and I'm so excited to have you here. You are from the future. I know when we were setting up this interview, we were talking about what time it was going to be, and you're actually a day ahead of us. So that is so cool to actually be talking to somebody on Wednesday, and we're doing this on Tuesday. But anyway.
That's right. Well, I can tell you that, you know what? The world's going to be a great place still when you get to Wednesday morning. So
exactly.
That's the way it goes.
So I am so excited to talk about how we can break the barriers to reach our full potential. But before we go into that, girlfriend, I really wanted to know more about you. Share that with our audience, who you are, who you serve, and how you serve them.
Well, thank you. Thanks for that intro, Inga. And as I said, I'm so excited to be here today. It's an absolute passion to be part of the US market, and Inga's really embraced that, and she's been working with supporting me. So I really do appreciate that. So a bit about Cindy. I'm the founder of a company called Braintree, and that's a global leadership and executive coaching organization. We predominantly work with individuals and businesses who really need to grow, whether that's growing personally or growing in their business. So scaling up, or meeting exit strategies. It can be from anything from entrepreneurs through to board members. We cover the whole sort of scale. But most importantly, it's about breaking those barriers, as you said, to reach that true potential. So what is it that's really holding you back? What is it that's stopping you from being the success that you really want to be? Yes. So how do we work through that?
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about how you started your career. How did you get this thing going? We're curious.
Well, it's been a long time. You can probably tell, although the light's a little bit dark, unfortunately. You can probably tell I'm not a spring chicken. I've been in business for over 35 years, and it started way back in the late 80s when probably many of your viewers weren't even born. I was working for a bank in London. It was a AAA rated bank, and it was just at the time when all the really complex financial instruments were starting to be developed, and I was working with some really smart people, and it was a very fast paced, very highly driven, high energy environment to be in, and that's where my career started in investment banking. And so I was on the business side of that, then I went into IT.
Okay.
And then that ended up leading me into running software companies throughout my career. And then also I could bring in all of that sort of thing together and working on management consulting. So essentially my career has been across 3 different channels: financial markets, management consulting, and entrepreneurial technology. And all across that is a very common theme of innovation.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. I love to hear the women in tech. I know I used to be a mechanical engineer, so it's very exciting to collaborate with another tech geek. It sounds like you are too, when it comes to technology, because that's not normally a field that women reside in, but it's all good. So tell us a little bit about success. I know every leader has their unique definition of success. What are your thoughts about success, and why do you feel that way?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting, as I think when you're a lot younger, success is all about, getting to the next level in your career, getting the next promotion, making more money.
Yep.
And it's kind of what we're taught to do. And then I think as we get a bit older, we start to think actually more about our purpose. What is our purpose in life?
Exactly.
And what is it that we really want to be giving back? And that kind of fell into 2 areas for me where I was really building on my experience. And obviously as a leader through a lot of my career, there was a lot of leadership skills there that I could use to really help others. Also working in startup companies, there's a lot of mistakes that people make. And what I wanted to do was kind of like bypass those mistakes for people so that they could actually be more successful more quickly with their business. And the other thing is about, I think more importantly, leaving a legacy. Mm-hmm. So using my technology skills, I developed in one organization I was working with a platform that could do online digital identity verification. So, you know, when you go to a bank and you have to show your driver's license, your passport, all those sorts of things, you have to do that multiple times. What I did was I built a platform where that could happen automatically. So it went from 24 hours costing $25 to near real time costing less than $3. So for me, it was about, how do I leave a legacy? How do I do something in the world that my children can kind of say, hey, my mum was behind that. My mum helped to do that. And so that was sort of from the technology side. But then from the human side, there's an old sort of saying that, you know, people can kind of come and be part of your life, come in and out of your life. But the ones that you actually remember are the ones that have really left a mark, and the ones that you remember the experience with. And so what I like to think now is that as I work with my clients, their experience with me is profound to taking them to another level of the success journey that they want to go on. And that's what actually really drives me. That's what success looks like to me.
Awesome. I just kind of wanted to recap what you said. I think I got the first two, that you want to basically cut the learning curve. So you're trying to eliminate the common mistakes that people make and help people use the stuff that you already know how to do so they don't have to go through those common mistakes. Build that legacy. And what was that first one? Was it leveling up your business?
Well, it was scaling up your business. So
scaling. So I was right.
Yeah. So if you're a small startup and you want to grow your business, how can you do that without having to sort of fall over the mistakes that everybody normally makes on their journey? How can you fast track that and know where you can get to very quickly?
Exactly. Exactly. I'm a firm believer in cutting the learning curve. Sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's just get to the point here.
Let's just get to it. Right. Let's just get to it. So with that said, what are some of the common challenges that your female clients encounter when they're building their business?
Well, actually in Australia, it's really interesting because the stats that go towards women founders getting investment is very, very bad. I think it was something like, and don't quote me because I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head, it was around about 4%, but it was very, very low.
Wow.
So female founders are, you know, I'm not going to say in all cases because I don't want to paint everybody with the same brush, but in the majority of cases, when a female goes up to ask for funding for a business idea and a concept, quite often they're pushed back versus when a male goes forward and asks for that. So, you know, that's not necessarily to blame the people who are there to, you know, considering that organization to offer them money to. I think it's a combination of both, because a lot of women don't have the confidence to be standing up and really believe in what they're actually talking about and their product, and have that drive and that passion that often men sort of have a bit of a natural ability to portray. So as women, we tend to think everything's got to be 100% perfect before we can press that go button. And you know what? It doesn't need to be. It can be 80%. It's just that's how we're programmed. We want everything to be perfect. We think that we should be doing everything properly. We don't want to disservice our clients if we've only got 80% of a solution. But in all of my years in software, there's always like 80% of the solution is there. The other 20% is built with the client. So it's around that confidence of understanding the gap. So, you know you own what your subject matter is. Know that you have a right to have a seat at that table, and know that there is a purpose for you being there. And that sort of, you know, comes back to probably a bit of a mantra that I have that we can talk about a little bit later. But yeah, I think overcoming that imposter syndrome, women sit there and they've got one voice saying, yes, you can do this. And then the other voice is saying, oh, but what if they think that I'm useless? What if they think that this is all just smoke and mirrors? And, you know, we've got this chitter chatter going on. So I really help women, anybody actually for that matter, but particularly women, overcome that particular challenge around that confidence and that chitter chatter.
Yes, I so agree with you. It's amazing how we do that. I know personally for me, I was just going, I'm doing a rebranding right now for one of my offerings. And I was talking to my coach last week, and I was like, I'm getting kind of nervous about all of this, thinking I got to have everything done perfectly. And I was just like, I had to catch myself and go, hey, this is the first iteration of this. Of course, I'm going to tweak and repeat, and it's okay for me to do that. Exactly. And as I tweak and repeat, I don't want to sit around and wait for perfection, because at the end of the day, I have to show it to the marketplace to know what I need to tweak anyway. I can sit here and think about it and tweak on it, and it may not even be what they want. And then I would have wasted all of that time trying to perfect it to find out once I took it to the market, it didn't work. So
absolutely spot on. See, you're living proof of exactly what happens and what we're trying to help people with all the time. So it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere.
So I'm curious, how do you help women to overcome those barriers that hold them back so they can realize their true potential?
Yeah, absolutely. So when women come to me, a lot of the problems that they have are around confidence and communication, and as I mentioned, that sort of imposter syndrome. And so as a coach, I work with them, if I'm working with one-to-one with an individual, just trying to help them break through those barriers, I will work with them from a positive mindset perspective. We start off by looking at what are your strengths,
right?
And not just about what you perceive as your strengths, but what others perceive as your strengths as well. Right. Because it's very hard. If I said to you, Inga, hey, come on, girlfriend, write down 10 strengths about yourself, right? You'd reel off, say, 6 or 7, and then you'd be like, not sure, you know? Right. And then if I said, hey, but what about you? What about your best friend? What does she say about you? What does your mother or your father or your partner or your son, or what do they say about you? And they go, oh, well, they say, I'm reliable, I'm trustworthy, and you go, well, hey,
why did you write that down? Right.
So often we don't realize the strengths that we have ourselves. So first of all, bringing those out to the forefront is really important, because as the conversations go on during our subsequent sessions, and they'll say, I'm stuck in this situation, and I say, hey, remember in the strengths we talked about, you said that you were tenacious, let's say. How does tenacity play a role in this situation right now to get you through this?
Yes.
So you go back and you draw on the things so you're always reminding them that actually these things are real. It's not imaginary. It's truth about you. So use your truth, excel your truth, and make that help you, push through those barriers that are there, because it's amazing. I mean, I could tell you stories about people I've worked with, and it's just that it's the most incredible privilege to be able to coach somebody through that process, because when you see them, I talk about them being like a caterpillar to start with, and by the end they're this absolutely beautiful butterfly.
Yes. I love that analogy. I use that very often. So I'm just curious, tell us about the personal goals of a businesswoman, and what would be your message to an aspiring businesswoman?
Yeah, I think, for businesswomen, believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. And particularly, I think for entrepreneurs, and I'm still in that stage myself, and I've actually created 6 startup companies. And the amount of times that you go through, it's all exciting to start with, and you've got your concept, you've got your unique value proposition, you've got everything all lined up, and you go out to market, and everyone thinks that what you're doing is fantastic, and you feel so full of euphoria, but you need cash.
Yes, at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. So how do you translate that into money? And it's all good to go and have a talk, because you have to learn lots of different skills about how you take people through that journey to actually realizing that they do need your skills and services, and then they sign up knowing that they can't possibly do this without you. Right. So, on that journey, it's very tumultuous. It's very much up and down. You feel like, this is going really great, and I've had a breakthrough, and I've got a great client or clients, and then it sort of dries up again, and you're thinking, why am I doing this? Why don't I just go get a regular job? It'd be so much less hassle,
Yeah.
So believing in yourself and knowing what the end goal is really important. And that's also something that's really key in when I work with people, is actually defining what are those goals and staying focused on those goals, because we can actually deviate quite a lot on that journey. And if we don't stay focused, then we're not going to get the prize.
Yes. I so agree with everything you just said. Spot on. Yes. So I'm curious, what is your motto? I mean, you have to have one, and I'm just curious to know if it's something similar to what I've always said, because you're the out of town, really out of the country expert, and you know how that goes when you're out of the country or you're coming from a different thing. You can say something just totally resonates with the crowd when the other person has already said it. But yeah, so give us some of that insight today.
Yeah, look, I mean, yes, we are on a big island away from a lot of people, but my services cover the whole world. So, you know, it's now morning, as you said, your evening, perfect time to be working with my clients in the US. Daytime is perfect for anybody in Asia. We're only usually 2 or 3 hours difference in time. And obviously in Australia and New Zealand, that's all completely right dead center in my time zone. And then in the evening, I work with the European markets. So I live in the most perfect place to be able to actually run a global business. So it's absolutely amazing. So what's my model? My model is to, and this is kind of jump into something you and I were talking about before we jumped on the call, Inga, was about how do you scale up your business? And that's a whole separate, you know, discussion and webinar presentation. There's workbooks and everything that go with that. But if you think about where do we sort of start and where do we go to, the first sort of at the first point, we're often doing face-to-face, one-to-one client meetings if you're in the coaching business, and you only have a certain number of days, a certain number of hours, and a certain number of days that you can work a week. So you're capped at what you can possibly generate in income, and you can't be working with clients 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, because you need to still be doing business development work.
Exactly.
So, you know, how are you building your brand? How are you building your credibility? How are you building trust? How are you creating a followership that those people are going to start to step into and trust you one-on-one with their lives and their destiny? So to be able to scale that up, you need to really look at how you go through some different stages in doing that. And that would be going from one-to-one, sort of face-to-face, to one-to-many. One-to-many, and using digital platforms, automating a lot of the processes that are happening in the back end for you. And then right up to the point where you're actually developing intellectual property that is actually driving revenue for you, but you're not actually having to put those hours in. So, for example, what we did was we developed, we saw a gap in the market around the leadership space, because we felt that, you know, ESG, diversity, equity and inclusion, future of work, emerging technology, all of those things, coaching styles as a leader, all of those things are not being taught to leaders in one sort of box. So we built a product which takes you on that journey. And at the end of it, what you have is a new age leadership framework that basically has all of your vision, mission and values, your culture, your structure. It has your policies on all of the aspects that are relevant to a new age company today that is going to leapfrog forward and be really successful. So we put all that into an online package, and we have 2 coaching sessions in it. So basically over a 12-week period, my clients are engaged constantly, but they actually only have 2 one-on-one sessions with me. And those 2 one-on-one sessions are really powerful. So we're able to generate more revenue because we have a product that's repeatable in its sale, but we still have a one-on-one connection with our clients. And that model, we actually have associates that now work with us who use that model, that product. They become certified and then they use it for theirs. So it's really helpful for people who are starting out. And they can 8 times their income just by using that model. So you know, going through those stages and the pain points of everything you go through, we understand it, we get it, we know because we've been there. And how do you get those things automated to a point where you're actually having really, really rich relationships with your clients, but you're not having to put in, you know, 12 hours of work. You can do 2 hours instead. So it's amazing.
Yes, very smart. Very, very smart. Yes, and we have to be like that. That one-to-many model is so powerful. You'll have occasionally people that want to do the one-on-one, but then you can raise the price high enough that it's going to be worth your while to do that. So very smartly done. Very smartly done. So I just, before we end, I would just wanted to ask you if you had any final thoughts. I know you had talked about a freebie that you wanted to share with them as well. So go ahead and do that, and then I'll put the link up for your freebie as you.
Yeah, sure. So I love connecting with people. My motto is your network is your net worth.
Yes.
And that goes both ways. So if I can have a connection with an individual and they can have a connection with me and get value out of a session, then that's great. We've all spent our time wisely. It's been an investment in time that's been really valuable. So what we do is we offer a free half an hour consultation.
Cool.
It's run over Zoom. So anytime that works with different parts of the world, you can just book in for a half an hour consultation, and we'll just chat through a couple of the issues that you currently have at front of mind. And the whole idea is to at least be able to break through one of those barriers to help you reach your true potential, even if it's just in that short half an hour. And then if there's synergies around that, we can talk further. But we also have webinars that are free. We run them every month. They're also replayable from our website, which I think you're sharing anyway. It's under the webinars and blogs section of the website. I invite people to come along, hear the replays. It's all there. It's all free. It's all for your use. We've got imposter syndrome on there, all of the things that we've been talking about today. And of course, the one-on-one session, just jump onto that Calendly link and book in a time. And I would love to speak to you. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you guys, she has told you from the down under that she would love to chat with you. And if you're interested in doing that link right there that you see on the screen will be in the description. So don't worry about writing it down. We'll make it really easy for you so you can just click and go to her website. Well, her calendar as well as her website, because I'm going to put both links in the description below. And we want to thank you so much for your time. Cindy, you have given us some valuable information. Just the mere fact when you tell us about making sure you have the 80% solution and figure out the 20% as you work with clients. I think that was really key, as well as the 3 things that we need to focus on when it comes to building our business, about leveling up, cutting that learning curve. I think that's so important to do that, and making sure we're building that proper legacy. So thank you again for sharing your value with us. And those that are watching, we hope you got value out of what Cindy shared. And thanks for watching as always. So bye for now.
Thank you so much.